Hello and welcome to our Tech Home Builder webcast for the third week of June 2020. 2020, the year people will remember as the year they want to forget. But enough about biblical plagues. I'm John Galante. I'm the host of the Tech Home Builder webcast series, and we've got a really eye-opening session lined up for you today, courtesy of the folks at Levven Electronics. Levven is a manufacturer established in 2011 and based in the city of Edmonton, which is in the province of Alberta in Canada. It's about 350 miles north of the US-Montana border, so I'm guessing they just saw the last of their snow melt recently. Our topic today is the proven bottom line rewards of smart two-component power controls. Now that's a mouthful, but here's the cool thing. This session is about immeasurably enormous payback on making a switch, pun intended, in the way you control lights and outlets. Levven has done the research and done the math, and here to walk us through it is Levven VP Marv Verlage. Marv, take it away.
Thanks, John. My name is Marv Verlage. I am the VP of Sales here at Levven, and it is a pleasure to be doing this webinar today to share with home builders that they now have a choice on how power is controlled in their homes. So you'll get two takeaways from this webinar. The first being, we'll give you the data to compare both methods to control power, and also help you evaluate both methods against your company's business objectives. And second, we'll show you how a builder delivering 100 homes a year gains over $200,000 annually going with Levven. So with that said, let's get started.
So what I'm showing on the screen here is the data that I'm going to share in this presentation really comes from the industry. It comes from builders and trades who have responded to our verification survey and from our field results. And we've compiled this data over the last couple of years, and we're going to present it to you in an averaged format so you can see what the average is right across the country. So the building community has been pretty clear about sharing with us what their core business objectives are. And again, you can see some target results up there. Those are actually trending averages that we can see that relate to builders wanting to reduce build cycle days. What's important to them is reducing the cost to carry the home. They want to build more homes every year, and they want to increase their profitability per home. And then another metric that's really important to them on their objective is reducing customer acquisition expense. And so those 5 business objectives, you can see the trending data there. Those are from builders that we've surveyed and dealt with across the country. We've set the homes built annually, John, to 100 so that the viewers that are coming in, they can just kind of quickly use that as a benchmark to be able to make the gauge for their own business based on the number of homes that they deliver annually every year. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of kick off now. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you the data of what it's costing both the builders and the trades to install switches into a home today, or a way to control power. And as what you can see here on the screen is up to 7 different trades and builder personnel. They have tasks that are related to working around the actual switch boxes in the home. And the trending data from each of the trades about the time they invest is reported at the top of those little houses in minutes. And of course, the cost for each of those trades is reported in the red numbers at the bottom of those little homes for each of the trades to just do the installation. Summarized at the top, we can see that 9 hours of labor is consumed per home to rough in switches, and the cost is $626 per house. That days to the added schedule is actually 0.06, and how we got to that is that the electrical trade reports to us that they need a part day, if you will, to complete the electrical rough-in. So it may take them 2.3 days, as an example, to complete the rough-in, but the home ultimately sits for the whole day. So we've set it at 0.06 because it's a little bit of a safety factor in there. Of course, there's going to be some homes that perhaps maybe tidy up a little quicker than that. So we've put in a safety factor, but on average, it's running about 0.06 days per home. So the other thing that the trades report to us is there are quality issues that relate to them doing tasks working around those switch boxes. And if we start up at the top left, we can see at 49% of homes are affected where switch boxes are actually buried behind drywall. And so the electrical contractor or the sheetrock contractor's got to go and dig them out. And kind of moving to the right, we can see that 2% of homes are reported as having the sheetrock screw shorting out a switch wire. 3% of homes are affected by switch boxes needing to be moved and replaced because the framer had to come in and shave the studs to get the drywall to lay flat. 31% of the homes, the gap around the switch box has been cut a little too generously, and it requires the sheetrock or the painter to fill them and do a repair. 5% of the homes, the tile trade reports damage around the tile around switch boxes that they need to fix. You know, certainly a trending average that's been going up year over year is 7% of homes currently are being reported as having wire theft or vandalism showing up. So someone's thieves are coming in and stealing wire to the house, or worse yet, they're just slashing wires and they're not discovered until the guys go back in at final. And of course, there's always that customization or a need to relocate a switch. Customer wants to move it. Maybe it got installed in the wrong location on the plans. So 9% of homes are affected that way. And the trades report that 3% of the homes, box wires are actually cut by the sheetrock tool. When the sheetrock folks stick their Porter cable cutter inside the box, it catches the wire and it cuts all those wires, and it causes rework for the electrical trade. So those are risks that are currently showing up in the business from a quality perspective with switches today. 3 of those quality issues, the trades report in our verification survey, those deficiencies actually get discovered at the trim or final stage of construction. And they report that 3 trades need to come back in sequence to affect rework. And of course, as you can see, if a sheetrock screw shorts out a switch wire, that's going to require the electrician, the sheetrock, and the painter to go back in, as it would for relocating a switch or repairing wire due to theft or vandalism. And those deficiencies alone actually account for 2 days of delay to the build cycle for those trades to affect that rework. So that's pretty expensive. So when we look at rework, here's how it summarizes for the trades. We can see that at the top of each house, the amount of minutes that gets consumed for the trades to actually complete that rework per home. And then at the bottom in the red numbers, we can see the cost of that rework. And that rework cost includes trip charges, back charges, and of course, those costs that are accrued from passing those charges between the trades and the builder. The time to complete rework, which maybe pop back to that earlier slide, the time to complete that rework is 2 hours per home, and the cost of that rework is $323. Now, we recognize that the rework, John, it's really not a direct bill relationship between the trade and the builder. The trades actually absorb those rework costs, and they just get bed into their standard bidding price. And so for the purpose of this calculation that we're going to show today, we're only going to use the $36 that are directly related to the builder's folks to be able to calculate the cost of the switch, recognizing that those other costs are still being absorbed by the trades. The days added to the schedule, we see that at 0.3. That's those 3 deficiencies that accrue 2 days of rework. We've just spread it out over all homes.
Yeah. So Marv, is there a vision that if a builder and their tradespeople adopted your system and really became proficient with it, that ultimately there could be a negotiation to realize even greater efficiencies with that trade as they stop absorbing and spreading those rework costs, right?
Yeah, for sure. What we when we do our verification survey, we have a little builder tool which we'll introduce later to the builders. The trades are asked a question in that verification survey, and it is, hey, if you would you pass on the installation savings to the builder if you could get the rework costs back, and of course, as you can see just by the sheer numbers, they're all going to say yes to that, because nobody's giving up anything and they're getting something in return.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think as the trades start experiencing it and trusting it, and it becomes a standard in every home, certainly we're going to see those soft costs start moving back in the competitive nature of the way the industry works. Yeah, for sure. So if we summarize all of the installation and rework, here's what it looks like. The time and cost to deliver switches in the home, excluding materials, is we have a combined 11 hours of labor is consumed for each home. And almost a full schedule day is absorbed. And I think we're being really conservative here. So we have it at 0.9 days is actually added to the build cycle schedule. And so the cost to the builder is $797. And if we break that down at a per home number down to the individual switch number, that actually works out to $23 per switch. Now, we're basing that on an average of about 34 switches in a home, and that's kind of a single family starter home, if you will. So that kind of summarizes what it's costing the builder today. And we felt you having that data as a home builder would be really effective, because in fairness to the home building and the building industry, there's really only ever been one way to control power. So perhaps we haven't put the time in like we have over the last couple of years, over thousands of homes, to be able to actually collect this data and to be able to give you this data back so you can make a really informed decision about what you want to do. So with that done, now what I would like to do is introduce the second way that you can control powers so that you can contrast the two methods. And we have a really nice little animation that we can play that tells that story.
See how a simple innovation reduces materials and labor to lower the cost of constructing a home while making all the switches smart. Shown here is a home under construction ready for the electrical rough-in. To rough in the electrical system, electrical boxes are nailed to the studs where space is available. Wire is installed to each box to provide power for plugs, lights, ceiling fans, and other electrical devices. To install switches, wire is installed between each switch box and the electrical device it will operate. Levven separated the switch into its two operating components, the rocker portion that people use every day and the power control relay that switches the power. This simple innovation eliminates the switch boxes, wire, and tasks for 6 trades and builder personnel to construct homes more affordably. Levven power controllers are installed at the trim or final stage of construction. They install inside the electrical box, connecting the power wires with the wires from the light, plug, or electrical device. Unlike switches of the past, Levven switches are free to be located wherever people need them. Levven switches mount directly on the surface after the walls are painted. Screwless trim plates snap onto the switch without tools, giving a compact, elegant designer's touch. Using the same wireless method that automotive key fobs use to lock and unlock car doors every day, switches send on, off, and dim commands wirelessly to power controllers. Levven portable switches put controls at your fingertips in places like bedside tables, shop benches, or the visor of a car. Levven switches can operate power controllers from a distance of 250 feet. Switches and power controllers can operate together in any combination, giving limitless switching flexibility. Up to 10 switches can operate a power controller, and any combination or quantity of power controllers can be operated by a switch. Levven switches and power controllers are installed ready for mobile device access and personalization. Levven Q and the Levven app connect mobile devices to operate and configure switches and power controllers throughout the home without programming. People get the freedom to operate their home from anywhere in the world and can include voice control with Amazon Alexa or Google Home. It's only when all the controls throughout the home are smart can people maximize the energy savings, safety, security, and convenience results they want. Levven Controls, making homes more affordable to purchase and operate.
Now that you see the two differences, it's really easy to understand how we're actually conserving all of that labor, because all of those tasks now related to installing the switches go away. So all of that those schedule day and the capacity of the trades can all come together now to give value to both the trades and, of course, the builder to be able to deliver on our promise, which is how do we build homes more affordably and make them more affordable to operate.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that it's not magical thinking here. It's materials and physics. It's just that
Yeah.
you've taken a lot of materials and work out of the equation, and the best ideas are the most elegant and simple ones. So that difference is pretty obvious in the video.
So there's a couple of interesting points that I thought I would do is we'd try and put some math around the value of that time for both the trades and the builder. And today, of course, we're going to focus on the home builder, but essentially two component switching with all of that time being given back to the trades, we can actually recover that schedule day. So for our example builder here, building 100 homes, we said that we had 0.9 schedule days that it was consuming today to put switches in. Well, we get all that back. So over the course of the year, the builder's recovering 90 schedule days. And the builders are trending right now are saying that it's 100 days for a build cycle to start and deliver that home. So 90 schedule days at a build cycle current trending number of 100 days. That means we're almost building one extra home with the days that we recovered out of the schedule and the trade capacity over all of those trades to be able to do that. The trending target profit of the data that we have today is $67,000 per home. So at 0.9, the annual profit just for that labor at value comes back to the builder at $60,000 a year. And so if we break that down into a per home value, that actually equates to $603 per home. And if we break that down into a kind of a profit per switch, just the value coming back to the builder, it equates to $18 a switch. So it's a significant amount. It's almost the full cost of what it's costing them today to put the switch in the first place. And then I've kind of got that number down below. Let's not forget our trade partners being all of those trades. Well, they also get to recover all of those rework costs because there are no rework costs anymore because all of that work went away. So they're actually recovering $8 as well. So the full $23 is coming back to everybody. So that's an important number to remember that comes with two component switching. So the other value for the home builder today is we're kind of rewriting the rules. The number of switches in a home today being, as I talked about earlier, 34 switches per home, but now Levven makes all of the controls in the house and the loads all addressable by your mobile device or your voice. So we're making every switch in the house smart right at installation. And so the value today to be able to buy a product that's capable of doing that at that volume in a house today, and we think about it, that's 60 devices right out of the gate or 70 devices that we're connecting in that house. They're already smart. So the value of $57 times 34 switches, the competitive value that's really ultimately exclusive to the new home builder now because is $1,938. And so if we look at that kind of competitive nature of who the home builders really their biggest competitor is, well, it's pre-owned homes. And so for a customer to go and buy our product and put it into a pre-owned home, they could certainly do that, but it's going to cost them that or more when it doesn't really cost the builder anything at this point. So it's got a real strong competitive value for the new home builder.
Hey, Marv, pre-owned homes is the nice way to say it, and you Canadians are so nice. Used homes is the way to say it if you're a nasty American.
Yeah, normally, if I was going to say that, John, of course, in my Canadian nature, we would apologize first and then said the words. So, I guess if we look at kind of the comparison then, because I think that's what we want to do, we know, let's go back and talk about what it's costing to stay with wired switches today as a new home builder and compete against that home in the on the parade of homes that's got Levven in it. What's that going to cost that builder to do staying with wired switches? Well, we just covered that it's costing them $23 to put a switch in today, so they're going to pay that cost. But now they also have to compete with that builder that's got this new ability to build more homes with the existing labor capacity, and that's got a value of $18 a switch. So we got to bring that into the mix of what it costs to stay with what you're doing today as a builder. And then last, of course, is we've got this technology value now that the home building community really has the ability to set themselves apart with. Well, that's going to cost that builder staying with wired switches $57 to compete against that home with Levven that's already got it built in. And so now the real true cost for that builder to stay with wired switches is $98 a switch. So this is getting really expensive now, right? If you're a new home builder and wanting to stay with technology that was developed in 1917. Now, I think that wasn't very Canadian. I moved over there a little bit. So we went through the whole exercise to talk about what could the builder pay for a Levven switch and actually reduce their cost. And so of that $23 that they're paying today, if Levven matches the electrical contractor's current installation price to the builder could pay up to $8.60 for a Levven switch and still reduce their cost. And how we get to that, there's a little fly out there. You can see there's a little comment note. We're essentially saying, hey, the other trades have agreed to give back the installation costs in our verification survey. All of the builder personnel costs are recoverable because they don't have to do them anymore. And of course, the total amount of carrying that home, all those finance costs come back for that extra schedule day. So that all totals up out of the $23 to $8.60. The schedule days and labor, that labor value that we showed earlier by not having to do that work, it was $18. Well, we split that, John, with the builder. So they get half, we get half. So they could pay us up to $8.90 and still end up saving some money. And then, of course, on the $57 price that you would have to pay for smart switches, well, remarkably, we show it as zero. And the reason we show it as zero is the whole goal was how do we make homes more affordable? And that means we don't want to increase the cost of the home to put smart technology in the home. So we include all of that smart capability at no cost to the builder to honor our shared purpose, make the home more affordable to both purchase and operate. So the total is that the builder could pay Levven $17.50 per switch and ultimately reduce their overall cost. So if we did a kind of a direct line comparison, because this is what we want to do, it's costing the home builder $23 today. We can see that number really big now up in the top left-hand corner versus $17 to pay Levven, still holding your current electrical contractor's price. You're showing a cost reduction right out of the gate. And we're going to take that a little bit further here. So that other half of the labor that we've recovered goes right back to the builder. So that's an $8.90 reduction in what they're paying today to build that home per switch. And of course, they're accruing back that technology value at $57. So without making any financial commitment at all, in fact, John, it's going the other way. They're actually saving money. We have a $66 per switch value that's going into that home. Totals up to $2,240 in value. So the way we started off was that builder delivering 100 homes a year is putting $223,950 of value right back into their bottom line. So it's a pretty remarkable amount of money with, just as you said earlier, just a rethink of how to simplify rather than make it more complex.
Right. So $223,000, almost 224. Pick your phrase. Nothing to sneeze at. It's not chopped liver. That's not chump change. That's a nice chunk of money for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think for any home builder, I think that past just the money, and I think the money is really significant. It just actually makes everybody's work life easier. So right. Certainly at a trade level, the one number we didn't throw up there is those trades that are wasting time doing all that rework. We know how trades behave. of course, we're all human beings. We're going to want to work for that builder that makes my life easier versus the one that makes my life harder. I'm going to be more profitable and my guys are going to be happier. So it really adds on past just the money for sure. And the other element that we haven't really thrown into the conversation so far is about 30% of the building wire comes out. So we have a sustainability story now that's people can understand because all that wire's been taken out. All those electrical boxes don't need to be wasted anymore. And because that home is smart, that for the lifetime of that structure, we can use automation now to save power so the consumer can actually get some lower monthly savings on their energy bill while we reduce demand on the utilities.
Sure, and think about how people want to change switch locations over the lifetime of a home too, and that's all more easily and cheaply done as well.
Yeah, certainly that whole personalization story that the home building community is really marketing to allow people to kind of come in and kind of personalize the home to the way it looks and feels and functions. Well, we're now an add-on to that story that just really makes that come to life. Now I can move switches and put them where I want as easily as moving a picture on my wall. And of course, as my family changes, I can change that. The other value is I can actually change what a switch on the wall operates, John, right from my mobile device. So if I want the switch in my laundry room to also turn on my kitchen island pendant lights, well, I can just change that right on my mobile device. And so those savings, as we like to say here, they just go on for generations of renovations and different folks that are going to own that home over its lifetime.
Generations of renovations. I like it.
Okay, so let's kind of bring it back to what matters to the builder. We started off talking about the builder's objectives and what was important to them. We talked about reducing build cycle days. We talked about reducing the cost to carry the home. We talked about building more homes with existing labor capacity. We have the objective of increasing profit per home, and we have the objective, of course, of reducing customer acquisition expense per home. We've showed the target numbers here. So let's look at controls today, just so we can redline this. Well, we can't really reduce build cycle days because we haven't put any labor capacity back into the market using wired switches. So we remain at 100 build cycle days. Our cost to carry the property now is going to go up by $1,938 because that home that's using wired switches to compete with a home using Levven switches is going to have to add $1,938 worth of smart switches to compete against that other house. So we're going the wrong direction, not the right direction. Increasing homes built annually, well, we don't have any extra trade capacity. In fact, I would argue that it's going to go the other way because someone's going to have to program all of those other types of products. So perhaps we're going to put more of a ceiling on trade to actually deliver more homes. So we've been Canadian kind, John. We've left it at 100. And of course, increasing profit per home is also going the wrong way because that $8.90 that the builder is getting back from that extra trade capacity is going right onto their bottom line. So the profits actually, I got that wrong here. So that $1,938, I really screwed that up. That $1,938 they're paying for smart switches is going to come right out of their profit because they're not going to be able to increase the price of the house. Gotcha. And of course, reducing customer acquisition costs. No, the story hasn't changed to the consumer. The value hasn't changed to the consumer, and the consumer's purchasing power hasn't improved. So there's no real story there for the builder.
Yeah.
Now let's contrast that to Levven. Levven's going to give you back that build cycle day, and they're going to give you the labor capacity to fill that build cycle day. So we're going to reduce our build cycle days from 100 to 99, go in the right direction. Reduce the cost to carry the home. Well, that $8.90 that the builder is recovering from that extra labor capacity goes right onto their right off of their top line carrying costs, $302 per home. And the increase of building more homes, of course, we got the extra labor capacity, we got the schedule day. We're going to be able to build one more home a year with the exact same trades. And then increasing profit per home, of course, that extra labor capacity goes right onto the bottom line. So we go from $67,000 up to $67,302. So we're going the right direction. And then reducing the customer acquisition expense. Well, the builder now has an exclusive offer a used home, John, or the Canadian version of that, or pre-owned home, it can't match that offer. So this is something now that the builder can actually market and know that they've got something that really sets them apart from any other smart home type of technology that's in the market. And of course, being able to show consumers how they're purchasing that home is actually doing something good for the world and the sustainability side, but also doing something really responsible for their home operating cost, because now I'm not going to pay as much for my power bill. I'm going to save something out of that. So it's kind of like the gift that keeps on giving. So, when we look at the contrast, it's really quite significant to be able to help the builder make that contrast on, which one aligns better with my business objectives. So over the years, John, we've learned some good lessons that we've been able to establish as best practices to help new builders that are interested in exploring this for their business to transition from what they're doing today to working with Levven.
Right.
And we've accomplished step one already in this webinar, which is just giving the builder some insight to be able to have the data to be able to make a decision.
So you've been in the market for a while now. Do you have some early adopter customers, and who are they, if you can share, and what are they accomplishing?
Yeah, so thanks for that.
Go ahead there.
We've been graciously working with a couple of builders over the last number of years to prove the concept and collect data. And I'm going to share a few of them here, which will probably be fairly notable to most of your viewers that are looking at this webcast. Every home in Tucson that KB builds for the last 2 years has been using Levven switches. And KB's been really gracious in being able to help us pilot with them. And I think it's gone way past a pilot, John. It's now a standard in Tucson. And of course, KB's evaluating it, taking that on further. Scott Communities, every home that they've built, same thing, that's been Levven. LGI Homes in all of Arizona and New Mexico has been using Levven in all of their homes for the last couple of years. We've had just a really great relationship with those folks, and their business model really aligned well with validating our business model of reducing build cycle days, making sure that we're really keeping that cost affordable. So LGI has been really a great partner. Universal Homes out of Prescott, and of course Mandalay Homes. Everyone who's familiar with Jeff Farrell and Dave Everson over at Mandalay, they've been champions, of course, in that whole energy and sustainability message. Every Mandalay home gets Levven switches.
In the metrics that we walk through in terms of savings on overall installed costs, at the anecdotal level, they're ringing true with the quantitative research that you all did?
Yeah, so all of that data is actually a combination of a much broader verification survey of builders and trades, but then for sure field data that we're seeing from these builders coming right out of the field. So we actually, if we go back to our sales process, we kind of have a really great way, John, of proving and guaranteeing the data so that we don't rely on trending averages. I'm just sharing those because I think they're effective. So today we've offered a little insight. The next step for builders that are interested in exploring this for their business, we have a really great little verification tool that the builder and their trades can fill out. And we can kind of get closer to the truth on what their specific data is, because every region is different, every builder is different, and we treat them that way. So we'll collect all that data, and then we'll give it back to the builder in a presentation where we show them the information, and then we give them a hands-on demonstration. But we don't leave it there. Then what we do is we provide the builder with enough product to actually complete 2 homes with Levven at our cost, and compare it to the same 2 model homes with their trades using what they're doing today. And we'll put our own guy on the job site, we'll collect all that data, because that really is the truth. That's really what's happening in the real world. And then of course, we refine the pricing formula, we give that data back to the builder, we have a best practices and a kind of a what's the success look like scorecard. And then if we hit all that, then we ask our builder partners to include it as their new standard, and we make wired switches the more expensive option that the builder would offer to a consumer should the consumer ask. And this is where we have this little verification tool. So for builders that are interested, they can contact me directly. We'll put up some information here at the end of the presentation, and we can start a conversation with them and get them connected to using our verification survey so they can go get specific data related to their business.
So you get some data points in the abstract from an interested builder, and then you actually do this field test of whether those factors are, playing out as anticipated.
Right. Really, I think what this is we don't want to ever have a customer come on, John, and have buyer's remorse. We want everybody to know the data up front. We're making a good decision for the business. We know the information. We have the data. We've proved it in the field. And I think the other thing is, even when work gets simple, it's change. And it's important to take everyone through kind of the steps so that they can all be part of the solution. They all know what the problem is we're trying to solve. They get to experience it, and they get to add their contribution. So no one gets left behind.
Okay, so two component versus one component. We've talked about it as, really the status quo has been one component wiring and control schemes for over 100 years now.
Right.
And we know what the builder's innovation time clock is. It's not the fastest ticking innovation time clock in industry. And so there are going to be a lot of folks that are queasy about new technology to components. So are you guys alone doing this? Is this kind of a proven sort of technology in any way, shape, or form, maybe in other construction sectors besides residential?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I think to kind of assuage the concerns of a builder that says, hey, now I've taken the wire to the wall, what does that look like? What's the risk? I think is kind of maybe what you're saying.
Sure.
Yeah, we hear that. So for that reason, we say, hey, we're not first. This has been in the market now as a method to control power for well over a decade. And as you can see, there are two competitors that we see on the screen here are Lutron and Leviton. Both have two component products. They focus those products more into the commercial world, John, just by the nature of on-off is more expensive in that area of the construction industry than it is in single family. Levven's contribution to the technology is we've just figured out how to make it cost effective to put it into a residential home in deference to doing wired single component products. So, I think if I'm a home builder, you're never going back to wired switches again. There's lots of industry support here for two component products.
Cool. Hey, can you give us a little bit more info on Levven as a company, your origins and the way you all operate? We've talked previously. You're an EOS shop. We're an EOS shop, so I certainly see core values and a lot of similarities in the way you proven process to the way you all operate. But give us a little bit of a backgrounder on Levven and your team.
Sure. The company's been around for just coming on 3 decades as a manufacturer. So everything that we've talked about today, this isn't something we've designed and someone else is making it, John. We make it right here in Canada. So we're end to end. We know everything that goes into our components. So this is a made in North America story. So my partner and I bought the business back just after 2011. And we started looking at how we could leverage the intellectual property that was inside the business to have a bigger impact in the world. Both James and I have come from successful businesses in the past. And so this was kind of our way to kind of pool that knowledge that we both had together to actually do some good in the world. So we have about 50 people on staff here in the company. Again, like I said, we've been here about 30 years. The company is transitioning from being a CM or a contract manufacturer and design house. So we have a full engineering house. We have a full R&D facility. We do all our own testing, all our own manufacturing here. So we're just basically taking all of that and kind of turning it into a products-based business. And I
Right.
think, John, I think I was at one of the very first tech homes. I think it was in Florida. And I think we were on Rookie Row. That was our first year. And that was my first introduction of our company to the tech home builders that attended. And we had our first generation of product out on the table. And graciously over the last 7 years, as we've been proving this concept and proving the product out, yeah, it's been pretty well received and pretty well adopted. So I think company's been around a long time. Company's privately held and growing like crazy year over year.
Yeah, and I think one of the core competencies of a contract manufacturer, and it's in your core values, is we do what we say, right?
Yep.
That's the definition of quality.
Yep.
You win Baldrige Awards for setting out customer requirements on paper and doing it. And in a field like contract manufacturing, that's the only way you can really compete. So
Yeah.
I think bringing that sort of dedication to quality and fulfilling on customer expectations is, it's a strong suit for you guys. And I'm going to say the work that you've done in terms of the analysis of the bottom line payback for builders is rarely done in the tech field. It's usually about, isn't this wow? Isn't the consumer going to really want this? I know you can make money on this somehow,
Yeah.
Not really thinking through all of this process related cost. And I think, to your credit that you guys did that. And I hope, even though it isn't as, sexy as look at the user experience of this thing and let's get it in. And it's not that kind of, quick push for a sale. It takes some analysis, but I think that ultimately the builders who walk through that and all of the tool sets that you've put in place for them to analyze the ROI are going to be pretty pleased that you took that approach. So I want to give you guys kudos for going the extra mile and not just relying on wow factor to get a builder interested in trying something.
Yeah, and and thank you for that. I think as this coming from having a history as a CM, really what we did is we've set out over the last number of years actually building that list of requirements that needed to be in place for a builder to go, yeah, this should become our standard. That this is what we need as a builder, and really. Our customer, although it is the consumer, the decision maker for Levven's customer is really the home builder. And so we had to make sure that we got to their story and their value proposition first. The consumer story is really quite easy in contrast. I mean, we're going to show up with all the cool things that people are talking about, but what's really differentiating the experience now, John, is when we think about how builders are treating technology, specifically controls or switches, we'll put 2 or 3 smart switches in a house and we'll call the house smart. Well, that really makes the consumer have to either upgrade the rest or think about what it is smart or isn't smart in the house. With ours, yeah, everything is smart. Every electrical load in the building is smart. So that really steps the consumer into a new experience that tech has not delivered in a production home, which is, hey, now I can set up automation in that house. Doesn't cost me anything, and I get all the benefit of all the power savings. So
yeah, and I think you put the builder in a position to give whole home automated lighting control versus a lot of them have defaulted to let's light the entryway and the exterior, and we've given them lighting control, and we know that there's greater demand than that. So yeah, that's another great plus for you guys. Hey, let's we're at almost 45 minutes, so let's wrap it up. I want to thank you guys. We're going to have a screen with more information from Levven, and you guys will be at our events later in the year. And we really appreciate you sharing this story with our viewers, and look forward to continuing to evolve a great for Levven and your builder partners.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone, for viewing. Appreciate your time today.